welcome to another installment of Trace Your Future with Refiloe. Now, today we are talking about innovation as a mindset, and I've got EdTech specialist who is Lungile. Welcome, Lungile.
Thank you so much, Refiloe.
You are doing amazing things out there. I mean, an app that's posing as a game that's teaching children about mathematics without them realizing that they're learning this. Can you tell us more about Nubian Smarts?
All right, so Nubian Smarts is an edtech. We are based in the east of Johannesburg with plans to expand across the African continent. We mainly have a new Maths Kids app which really promotes the understanding of mathematics for foundation phase learners. We do this through a gamification method. So the child plays, gets rewarded, and in the background we are getting a progress report, which is really the magic of everything that we're doing. That progress report is shared with teachers, and they are then able to be proactive and assist learners in critical areas that they are struggling with.
Sure, amazing, because they are like, it's like a cheat method, right? Because all they're doing is playing a game.
All they do.
And you are assessing their mathematics. Why this app and not go into gaming directly? I mean, gaming is hot right now.
Well, I think the education crisis within the continent is really not something that we can all hide ourselves from, or really put our heads in the sand about. And as a parent, I wanted to be part of the solution. I wanted to figure out a way to get my child to be empowered, prepared for the world of automation, the world of AI. And what better way to do it than a game? And I figured if the game is rewarding enough and it's personalized and it's directed to critical areas that are addressed by the CAPS curriculum, then it makes it easier for the child, makes it easier for the teachers, and really addresses that critical gap within the education system.
I must tell you that it's very impressive, and I think for me something that stands out is throughout because you were not trained to be an app developer or a gaming or coding person, right? No. How did you learn all this? And I get you wanting to empower your child, but this particular method of making them just be themselves, be a kid, play. Yeah. I mean, tell us about the thinking surrounding this particular way of wanting kids to learn.
Okay, so what happened is, really, the story is pretty sad. I did YouTube channels. I did a whole lot of tutorials around how to code and how gamification works, what's the science behind gamification. If you look at games such as Candy Crush, for example, if you look at Candy Crush, it is designed for you, but you don't know it. So how well you play on the Candy Crush game versus me, our levels are different. It's harder for you. It might be harder for you because you're doing so well, and it might seem easier for me. And at some point, there's a bit of science behind it, in that it cannot be too hard for too long, because then you're going to stop playing. And it cannot be too easy for too long, because you're going to lose interest. That's the new Maths Kids app. It's based on that. It cannot be too hard for too long, because the child will lose interest. It cannot be too hard, because they will start feeling like there's something wrong with it. Yes. So that's why we decided to do that. For me, back then, Candy Crush was big. That is the reason. I kept seeing people play Candy Crush, and I was like, but we could turn this around. I'm certain there's some sort of way we could be learning while we are doing this. And a math game was the obvious choice, because mathematics teaches you problem-solving tricks. And for me, I wanted to create problem solvers. I figured if we empower our young people to be problem solvers, we get to a point whereby they start creating the other games. They start creating the other solutions. So I, as Lungile, do not need to create all the solutions. I just need to create the one that unlocks the problem solving. Then when they are walking around their communities, they can say, oh, there's waste here. Maybe we could come up with a waste app. You know, it becomes something like that. Yeah.
I think that's why you were key for this discussion on innovation, because I know that innovation is your mindset, right? Why do you think it's important for us as a continent to really embrace and really aggressively go after, making things work smarter, making things work more dynamic than they already are. Like I feel as though as Africans we are innovators in entirely. But I think now that AI is taking off and tech is really the buzzword, now the focus is on us because we are the continent that's seen as lagging in comparison to the rest of the world.
True. So for me, within Africa, I think we've been forced the way Africans are resourceful. We've been forced to be innovative all along. It's part of who we are. It's part of our culture. But right now, with tech being introduced, we sort of stepped back and said, the West will come through with solutions to our problems. Yet, if I'm coming through into a community and I don't know their everyday problems, I might come there and fix the wrong problem, the one that is not really causing you a headache every day. But if you are sitting there and you are right, you're part of the problem, you are able to see, no, this is not what I actually need. So, no, we don't have the right infrastructure. But if we are creating games that do not need a data connection, therefore, we are at a point whereby without the infrastructure, we're still able to access what the West has. Yes, we have issues around high number of learners in a class. So we need solutions that are geared to address that. And sitting back and saying tech is here, we need to start using tech as an enabler, as a resource in order for us to solve the problems that we are finding ourselves in on a daily basis.
I love that. Like I'm saying, it comes across a lot that innovation is your mindset. Now, how do we spread this? Because, we also have this attitude of, there's always something that's in fashion. Maybe this STEM or AI or all these buzzwords, maybe they'll also pass because there's also phases, Yeah, we've been here long and things come in waves. How do you make sure that, especially now the generation, I know the uptake is high, right? But there's still people sitting there and thinking, is this really for me? And how do I use tech or AI in my everyday life or in my pursuit for a job, in my pursuit for starting a new business? Because it can be quite threatening in the beginning, because if you understand schooling, Pan-African schooling levels, they are all different and the qualities differ according to regions.
Of course. So what tech has enabled us to do is it has brought the world closer. You can learn anything. If you put your mindset to it, you can learn anything. You have resources, whether it is the online resources. It's not like you can Google things. You can put something through to ChatGPT. You could write your entire business plan just from putting the right prompt onto a ChatGPT platform. So you being open to try out new things is really where the key is. It's really where everything lies. If you are sitting at a problem and you really are willing to learn more about that problem, really willing to learn more about existing solutions, and adapting them to your situation is really critical. So if you are sitting there and you're trying to figure out how to find your next job, and your main issue is that possibly your biggest problem is that you don't have connectivity and you can't get to interviews, you could create your own profile and put it onto the internet, because things like Facebook are easy to access, LinkedIn are easy to access. So you put your profile there and you are able to be seen by people all over the world. It is that much easier. It's not like when we started off, and I'm revealing my age. It's not like when we started off where you really needed to send your CV to the right person. Right now, right people can actually find you based on the work that you are putting out there. So as a human being or as a young person, you are more empowered. But everything lies back to, how do you see problems? If you're going to see problems as obstacles, if you're going to see problems as roadblocks in your way, or even worse, as a destination. Yes, I'm from Katlehong, and Katlehong is a poor community. We don't have resources. So therefore, I will always stay here at Katlehong. And this is my reality. If you're not willing to change your mindset around that, then nothing can be done for you.
Let's talk a little bit more about that, especially the mindset factor. I find that, we've got young people watching all the time, and they see, I mean, there's enough information, whether it's social media or YouTube's or all of that. They see the likes of you, people who saw a problem and solutioned, but we don't really open them up to the processes, do we? We don't really open them up to, you know, the rejection, the tough days, the self-doubt, all of those things. And it makes it seem like the gap between where they are and where they hopefully want to end up, or where they see you are, is possible. What more can be done, especially by people in industry, entrepreneurs, people that, you know, are quite revered in industries, to bridge that gap of, look at us, we made it, and then they sit there and they're like, I can't be a Lungi, you know, and look at how she sounds. She probably went to, you know, the best universities, and you know.
I think we need to be honest. For me, it's been a long journey. Nubian Smarts was a dream in 2016, towards the end of 2016. It only was an app in 2017, after 3 months of non-stop, not sleeping, trying it out, trying different versions, a whole lot of reading. And even after that, it wasn't a business. I had the app, but it wasn't a business. And I kept going everywhere, and they said, but how are you going to make money out of this? Who's going to pay for this? And it became, but this is something that everybody needs. What do you mean, who's going to pay for this? I kept having investor pitches, and it kept being the one major question. And there was, and right now when I talk about it, people say, but the Department of Education, I've tried. I've gotten the bruises. But at the end of the day, for me, all the no's became ways to pivot. It became ways to become better. It became ways to make the product better for our customer. And it kept sending me back to the customer, you know. It kept sending me back to, who am I creating this for? Okay, I'm creating it for this young baby, this 2 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old, who doesn't have money, cannot buy. But it needs to make sense for the person who will buy. So hence, our product is really around empowering the teacher. Because for us, if we make the teacher's life easier, that is where everything is at. Parents are already inundated with YouTube. They're inundated with a whole lot of apps on Google Play Store, on the Apple Play Store, which you don't know. Which one should I choose? Which one is the right one? Which one is this really helping my child?
And most of them are not from, I mean, your own country. You don't even know. Some of the terms and conditions are in a different language.
Even the stuff that they teach. So you find they'd be counting and they say in inches, and you're sitting there and you're like, oh, it's not going to help this one. It's going to be sitting in class and say, it's 5 inches. And they're like, no. So it's probably that. So it needed to, so we kept going back to the teacher. Even in the 3 months, I kept going back to teachers and say, what is it that's your biggest problem? How do you navigate this? What are the things that are currently available? And I used that information to build a product. And even when I couldn't anymore, those same teachers are the ones that remind you, but no, you are on the right path. Yes, you are doing something that can change our lives. Nobody might see it now, but it is there. And I think as industry people, what we need to do is we need to be honest. That there are bad days. There are days where the passion is not enough. The dream doesn't wake you up from your bed. It becomes really that idea, that bigger vision of this is where we want to get to. And if you don't wake up today and do what you need to do as Refiloe, that bigger vision is not moving any closer.
So what I'm hearing you say is you are speaking to embracing that it's going to be hard, and really building habits around sustaining, you know, wanting to see this thing happen. So on a daily or more often than not, work on that dream that you want. Learn as well, because you didn't have any background in tech when you started this, but I think you had this burning desire to see that baby, as you call them, have an ability to have an inclination for mathematics, because we know what maths does in terms of the career of, you know, a learner. And for me, it's very admirable. And more than that, you know, because we are now in a space where the same methodology you're using of app and things that are on your phone, because young people are now glued on their phone, and by ways of an app such as Trace Academia, we've got these courses that are for self-starters, and we are wanting to reach far and wide with enabling the youth to learn on the go, as you say, learn when they're uncertain, learn when they're in waiting, looking for possibly in between jobs, or to start something, solutioning, because at the heart of it first innovation has to be a mindset.
Yes.
And more than that, taking yourself out of those circumstances that you're talking about, that you had to overcome, is also another mindset. But tell me about the response, is Africa ready for like the online learning by itself? Because I know we've got hard how can I say, things stopping us, or things slowing things down. I mean, in our own country, we know that you would be learning and then you will be subjected to 4 hours of blackouts. What does all that mean if we are going to make innovation part of our lifestyle?
I think for people to be, I think the mindset here is really around being a continuous learner, being somebody who's always ready to learn. Yes, load shedding will happen, but if load shedding is happening a lot in South Africa, I bet you that the people that are designing the apps are not designing apps that during the 4 hours of load shedding you are still able to learn. Our app, for example, without any data connection, the child is able to use it. Once the data connection is restored, we are able to then pull cookies and collect the report that advises the teacher. So you are with the problems that we face, we are able to come up with solutions that really address those things. Secondly, as a startup, there's certain things that you really realize along the way that you didn't know. My favorite word is you don't know what you don't know. Therefore, you can't Google it. You can't be saying, if I don't know that I need to know about HR practices as a startup, I'm not going to Google HR practices because it's not a question for me. But with things like Trace Academy, then they allow you to really think about, these are the things that you need to be doing, these are the things you need to be thinking about. And then I am now prompted to ask the right relevant questions, and I'm prompted to get the relevant people on my network in order for me to then get to the next stage. Collaboration is key as a startup. You cannot be a mountain all on your own, or an island. You need to understand that there's people around you and they have a source of knowledge and they have wealth of experience that will then unlock certain horizons that you would never be able to get to without.
What have been your most memorable collaborations?
Yeah.
I'm asking because I want you to pick, because I see throughout your journey that you do leverage a lot on other black-owned businesses, other women-owned businesses. I've seen that your fabric of success. But talk about the memorable moments in working with somebody that's like-minded.
Yeah. So, as you said, I'm not a tech founder, technical founder as such. So, for the game, we collaborated with a gaming company from Ghana called Leti Arts, and they're really one of the best game development companies in Africa. And for me, it was important. This is our brand. This is what we are saying we're doing. It's important to work with the best. And I loved their sense of really wanting to bring African games to the fore. And so we worked with that. Apart from that, over and above that, I am part of a couple of networks. I'm part of the Inspiring 50 Women in Tech within South Africa. I am part of the SAP Social Innovation Alumni. More recently, I'm part of UKKTN as part of the More Than a Woman program. And really, as you go through this, you meet amazing women, amazing entrepreneurs. I'm more than ready to collaborate with certain entrepreneurs. Culinary coding is a collaboration between Nubian Smarts and Darling Tammy's. So the chef that does teaching for how to cook is an actual qualified chef, and she knows her stuff. So for me, it's important really getting the relevant people there. With regards to the stuff that we're doing with more recently, we're introducing a culinary coding box so you can take it at home. We're working with a company from Pretoria that does coding games and coding game cards. So for us, it's always one of those things. Find people that are excelling in that space, pair up with them, bring a solution that addresses our people, that addresses the problems that our people are going through. Yeah. And obviously, ECD centers are well known within South Africa. They are run by strong Black women. And when we come into that space, we are about empowering not just the teacher, but empowering the center itself, ensuring that it is able to grow. It's one of the impact measures that we do track.
You're talking about early childhood development centers,
Yes.
like what's now commonly known as a creche
As
or
a
a
creche,
daycare.
Yes.
Yes.
So we work with very powerful, strong women who love their communities, who love children, who are passionate about education, just as we are. And if we meet on those key values, more than confident we can change communities around.
I love how you look at education as also an empowering tool, right? Because when colloquially, we think about education as formal schooling. But now here you are, untrained in the tech space, but solutioning because of your drive around innovation and a mindset to want to be part of the greater solutions for your community. But learning can truly be anywhere and at any time. Do you now, at the stage that you are, align yourself to be in a place where you're mentoring other startups or young people that are looking up to be a Lungile in the future in terms of their particular spaces and what they are wanting to do with their lives?
One of my favorite projects that I'm part of is the Gatuto Edu Propeller. So what we do in that space is we do activations around high schools around South Africa, and once we are there, we find kids that are doing maths and science, and they are given a beautiful task. They are given a task to find a problem within their community and create a business plan around it. And we mentor them on how to create the business plan. How do you do from ideation? How do you create a prototype? What are the things that you need to do? What are the things that you need to do? Think about in terms of resources that go in. Even simple things like how would you structure your business? Who are the people that you would need in this type of business? And at the end, they then pitch to a panel of judges, and the one that then there's a prize for the winning innovation that has come up. Some of the innovations that come up blow my mind. Things like trying to recoup toilet water into drinkable potable water.
Wow.
And it's coming from very young people from rural areas sometimes that are coming up with these solutions, talking about how you can convert the waste into a monetary, you can monetize waste in a way through an app. The other young person came up with a budgeting app that could be utilized for young people. How do you learn how to budget? How do you utilize those key learnings in order to sort of do a gamification for budgeting? So it's beautiful stuff, and I really love that. Within startups, I'm very involved within the startup community as part of WomEng. I am there. I am assisting with regards to mentoring other startups. I'm one person you can call anytime. Call and ask. If I don't know, I'll probably find somebody who knows the answer to what you're looking for, because of the networks that I've managed to build throughout the past 6 years now.
6 years.
6 years.
And yeah, you still calling yourself a startup.
I'm a startup.
Humble,
I think I'm a startup.
Humble much, because yeah, I'm really like congratulations on
Thank
that.
you so much.
I know from year 1 to year 3, we take quite a beating
It
as
was
founders.
And my year 1 to year 3 included 2020, which was just
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't give up in 2020, I think only miracles would have come out of that, because it was one period that separated people who want to be entrepreneurs or love the idea of entrepreneurship. But if you were faced with 2020 and your business is surviving today, I've got mad respect for you. Look, we've got also a youth watching, they want, I think, to move from one place to another. And we've spoken a lot about mindset, and I've had various other discussions on this platform about how it's necessary to bring yourself into the initiatives that are being offered around, whether it's a program, a boot camp about this, whether it is the Trace Academia app, or whether it's somebody willing to mentor you in your own community. Can you speak a little bit more about that? Like, what about yourself needs to, like, almost you need to do like an introspection, but more than that, what separates the people that get ahead to the ones that keep on dreaming and never really move to the next level?
Yeah. So, funny enough, when we did the app, the first version of the app in 2017, immediately thereafter, I registered as part of the Google Launchpad for African innovators. No technology. But I was like, I'm creating an app. That's the minimum requirement. And I always say, if you meet the minimum requirements, apply. Just tick one. Okay, this, and apply and put yourself out there. You never know who's reading your story, and you never know who it will resonate with. It's the same with even a CV. I always say, sometimes with CV, you'll find that the person who's reading it just likes the surname. It's like, I think I want to meet this person. I think maybe this person might just have something about him. Maybe the words you chose. So what we tend to do is we stick in our own minds and we cancel ourselves before anybody else has said no. We have said no. Before anybody else has said you can't refill it, you are saying I cannot. I apply for pitching competitions. I applied for Seed Stars, and I got through to be top 3 in South Africa. I don't know how. We're supposed to go to out to the Seed Stars conference, but then obviously COVID happened. But it's, you apply, you put yourself out there, share your story. Your story is important. Your story changes life. Your story is only yours, Refiloe. Nobody else has the same story. Therefore, when you are sending out that story, send the authentic story about Refiloe and share it with the world. Do not be scared. The worst thing that anybody can say to you is no. Because once they say yes, you're going to have to prove that you actually can do what you've been saying you can do.
Which is a tall order, right? We often say we are scared of failure, but sometimes success itself is scary.
Success is scary.
Because you've got to get to that level, and then you've got to sustain.
You've got to sustain.
Yeah, you've got to repeat and move ahead and improve and improve. And sometimes I think that's what's scary out there, because failure, by the time you get to be an adult, you fail a couple of times. But success requires you to next level. Now what? In order to keep that, there are good feelings around it, and they make you feel like, okay, this thing is addictive. If I can do this, I can do something else. And that's why, as a mindset teacher, topics such as this, they excite me, because from absolutely nothing, which from the depth of hopelessness can come somebody, with your background. I mean, I know reading, you were an FMCG, you were in the trenches being a 9-to-5er. If people don't know, I mean, what made you leave? You're like, okay, this thing that I'm doing is actually greater than my ambition to make it in something I studied for.
Yeah. So, so when I came up with the app, I was a production team leader.
Production. And not this production, right? Not this, production not as this, in products.
As in beverage line, as in products running in the... And what happened was, with the introduction of new machinery, we kept looking for problem-solving operators. So what you would find initially was that there was more people that had, within the factory scenario. Let me call it like it is, because when you say FMCG, it sounds fancy. In the factories, you found that you had grade 10, people with grade 10. When we now needed people to be problem-solving operators, technical operators, we needed them to have metric with maths and science. A lot of these people that I'd gotten to know and really felt like Abu Baba, because I was young then, Abu Baba within, the fathers within, they couldn't apply. Why? They didn't have maths and science as a subject that they had done. And it just hurts me. It hurt me so bad when you think, why didn't you take it? And they say, but maths is not for everyone. Yeah, I know you guys who are clever. It's for you guys. It's
and
not
they're
for us.
writing themselves off. Yes.
And I was like, but there must be a way to change that mindset. Make it easier to say, it is not about mathematics is for Refiloe or it's for Lungile. Mathematics is for all of us, because we do it on a daily basis. You do it even when you haven't gone to school. You do mathematics. My grandmother, who is back in Swaziland, will feed a family of 10 with 4 pieces of chicken. How she does it is because she knows how to divide. There's no other thing. So she does it without thinking. She wakes up at 5 because she knows at 6 o'clock she needs to be here. It's mathematics. It's you constantly solving problems, and that's what we do. And that made it easier for me to live the 9 to 5, because I was like, if I can come up with a solution that can change around, make sure that there's no, in the next 20 years, there's no other person who's sitting there and saying, I can't do mathematics. I can't apply for this because I didn't understand mathematics. You not applying for something because it's not what I like. For me, I'd never apply to be a dancer.
So what I
cannot. It's not my thing. But it's not because I feel that, no, it's not for everybody. It's because, for me, it doesn't interest me. And I'm pretty much confident if I gave it enough time and I watched enough videos, I'd probably figured it out. So it's that kind of thinking that made it. Then let's jump. Let's go on the other side and be change makers.
I think I can't say more than that. It leaves me feeling like, would 10-year-old Lungile be proud of this, Lungile? I have to ask that, because I know it doesn't start like this, right?
It doesn't.
This is where you've put your blood, sweat, and tears, and put your dream, your livelihood, everything to get where you are. And the beautiful thing is that you are solutioning for the African child, which is, it touches me deeply. And one would say that you are doing CSR. You are in the business of empowering. You are in the business of enabling. You are in the business of opening up what the kids don't see, because now they legit all think to be cool is the next best thing, and they don't understand how cool mathematics is if it gives you access to spaces such as yours that you are operating in. But tell us about that 10-year-old. Would she be proud if she heard from you today?
I'm pretty certain the 10-year-old version of me would be like, who's that? That's me. No, it cannot be.
Yeah.
I grew up in Makai. I grew up in the rural areas for a very long time, and then from there I was in township. Things like this were not a dream. It's funny that you say the 10-year-old. I don't even think the 21-year-old me would realize this was a possibility. So it's been a long journey of I'm learning to love who I am, and I inspire myself because I say, oh wow, I can do this. So the 10-year-old version of me, I'm sure, would say high five. Oh wow,
you've overdone it.
You've overdone it.
Yeah, thank you so much, and congratulations on all your success once again. We at Trace Your Future are super proud to be associated with you and your brand, and we can only watch on, with pleasure, with delight, and admiration as you go in and conquer the rest of the continent. Thank you for this chat.
Thank you, Refiloe. Thank you.
I hope you go out there and download your copy of Nubian Smarts as well as the Trace Academia app and see how you can be a self-starter. Start something amazing. You never know where it might land you. Thank you. That's all we have time for. Thank you.
Thank you.